Assalamualaikum everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar session, making a significant milestone for the Pakistan Stock Exchange. Today, we celebrate a landmark collaboration as PSX joins hands with the London Stock Exchange on environmental, social, and governance initiatives. PSX has recently introduced an ESG primer for listed companies, equipping them with the knowledge and tools needed to effectively implement the ESG agenda. Together with the LSEG, that is the London Stock Exchange Group collaboration, we aim to develop a suite of standardized ESG data tools tailored for the PSX ecosystem. This collaborative understanding signifies a commitment to fostering sustainable practices within PSX-listed companies. Recent efforts by PSX have been instrumental in advancing the ESG agenda. We've engaged with SECP, other stakeholders from the various sectors through roundtable sessions and meetings, gaining valuable insights and feedback. The chairperson, Pakistan Stock Exchange, Dr. Shamshad Akhtar's expertise in the field of ESG makes her a valuable contributor to our discussions today. Dr. Shamshad Akhtar has served as Federal Finance Minister of Pakistan, holding multiple economic portfolios in the caretaker government and as the Governor, State Bank of Pakistan. As the Under Secretary General of the Economic and Social Commission of the Asia and Pacific and the United Nations Secretary General's Senior Special Advisor in Economics and Finance, Dr. Akhtar oversaw the implementation of the Sustainable Development Agenda, including economic, social, environmental, and finance work of the UN Department of the Economic and Social Affairs. Dr. Akhtar is recipient of Asia's Best Central Bank Governor from Emerging Markets and the Bankers Trust Awards. In 2008, the Wall Street Journal recognized her as one of Asia's top 10 professional women. In 2020, she has been awarded the Hum Women's Leadership Global Award. She was recently awarded Nishan-e-Imtiyaz for her services to the nation. Without further ado, I invite Dr. Shamshad Akhtar to share her insights and wisdom with us as we navigate towards a more sustainable future for Pakistan's capital markets. Dr. Akhtar, the floor is yours.
So, Assalamu alaikum to everybody, or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are located. It's a distinct pleasure to have the chair of the Security Exchange Commission of Pakistan with us today, along with Farooq Pal, who's our managing director. We are very proud that just a couple of days back, we launched a document which is going to play an instrumental role to guide our listed companies in carrying forward the mission of the ESG. And this, on the heels of that, now I'm very happy to see that there is an agreement that is going to lead to a collaboration between the London Stock Exchange Group and Pakistan Stock Exchange. Of course, from the board standpoint, we count on our exchange on drawing extensively from the London Stock Exchange Group experience and practices of promoting sustainability and responsible investment as it guides its client, particularly listed companies, to embrace and mainstream sustainable development through the instrument of ESG, keeping in practice and perspective the need to, as soon as possible, work towards curbing the carbon emissions of our industry, trying to promote social objectives in a very different way than it has been done in the past. And most of all, the governance element, both within the pillars of ESG, but also at the corporate level in the listed companies through the standard and practice that we are going to be promoting further at the PSX level. So on behalf of PSX Board, I'm delighted to unveil and work with Farooq to unveil this partnership with Refinitiv, which is a subsidiary of London Stock Exchange Group. We are very impressed with the knowledge potential of this subsidiary of the London Stock Exchange Group, as well as the power of the data that they have in terms of the technicalities of it to get the scorings right ultimately. So we look forward to introducing ESG contribution tool to listed companies in Pakistan. The introduction of ESG contribution tool heralds, of course, a new era of transparency, accountability, and sustainability for Pakistan's capital market. The tool will serve for our listed company as a vital mechanism to report their ESG data, providing investors and stakeholders with timely insights into their ESG initiatives and performance. This collaboration signifies a critical juncture for PSX in its journey to align with global best practices in ESG reporting. By partnering with Refinitiv, PSX is not only introducing its listed companies to the ESG contribution tool, but also trying to empower them with robust reporting framework and cementing our commitment to transparency and sustainability at all levels. In today's globalized, interconnected world, investors worldwide are increasingly prioritizing ESG factors in their investment decisions. We want Pakistan to really accelerate the pace of this and make sure we are at the frontier of achieving the sophistication required for ESG. To me, this is not about enhancing the cost of doing business, but it is enhancing the value proposition and of our market cap companies and other capital market ecosystem in order to be able to attract foreign inflows which are seeking for such opportunities. The integration of ESG consideration into investment strategies is no longer confined to developed markets. It has become a global imperative now because of what's happening on the climate change front, but also in terms of what the last 5 years difficult global environment has done in terms of really reversing the development gains that had been achieved prior to the COVID-19. So across major financial hubs like New York, London, Tokyo, and Frankfurt, there is a growing recognition of the materiality of ESG factors and their impact on long-term financial performance. As we gather here today to celebrate this collaboration between PSX and Refinitiv, a company of, as I said, of the London Stock Exchange, I would like to congratulate our team that has made this possible under the leadership of the managing director. So what does it achieve at the end of the day? It will help enhance the credibility of PSX on a global stage, along with what we'll do to lift the game for Pakistan's companies by aligning, of course, with international best practices in ESG reporting. PSX can showcase its commitment to transparency, accountability, and sustainability. And we are making steady strides on that frontier at the exchange. This, in turn, will help in attracting international investors who prioritize and value these values, thereby increasing, of course, for the exchange liquidity and enhancing its credibility for both the global and domestic investors and the market. A second important element is that the availability of standardized ESG data through ESG contribution tool, which is really the basic ingredient that we need. It will help our companies and investors offer reliable information about ESG performance of listed companies. This transparency will create greater trust and encourage greater participation in PSX market activities. Third element important to highlight is that companies that effectively disclose their ESG performance may receive higher valuations from investors who recognize the long-term value of sustainable business practices. This can lead to an overall improvement in market valuation for listed companies on PSX, making exchange attractive to both domestic and international investors. With growing interest in ESG compliant investments globally, the availability of standardized ESG data can help us attract foreign investors seeking opportunities in emerging markets to invest in sustainability. The influx of foreign capital will, as I mentioned earlier, will increase PSX market liquidity, diversify its investor base, making PSX a more dynamic and vibrant marketplace. I'd like to lastly point out that the integration of ESG considerations into investment decisions supports broader societal goals such as poverty alleviation, environmental conservation, and social equity, and hence facilitate achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, further increasing PSX's role as catalyst for positive social and environmental change. Leveraging Refinitive's expertise and technology, we aim to enable our listed companies universe at PSX to meet the growing demand of ESG disclosures while enhancing their visibility on the international stage. The standardized ESG The standardized ESG scoring provided by Refinitiv will enable investors to evaluate the sustainability performance of Pakistan on par with global counterparts and attract responsible investors who value these propositions that I have talked about. So let me conclude that, to me, the Refinitiv PSX partnership could lead us into a new era. But of course, with the blessings of the Securities Exchange Commission leadership, who will be setting the stage for the regulatory framework for the ESG, and a lot of work has been undertaken and consultations have been undertaken by our commission under the leadership of Akif Saeed Saab, who I have personally valued working closely. Embracing ESG principles are very critical for somebody like me, who has a lot of belief in capital market, but also feels that capital markets and other financial segments ought to really be the drivers of arresting the drift in the climate change. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Saiba. We have with us today Mr. Akif Saeed, the Chairman, Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. And we have Mr. Farooq Khan, Managing Director, Pakistan Stock Exchange. We also have other speakers from the London Stock Exchange Group, which include Mr. Michael Rotman, who is the Global Head of Focused and Emerging Markets from London Stock Exchange. And we also have Ms. Silvina Bragia, who is the Director, Sustainable Finance and Wealth, who will talk about and present about the global trends on sustainability. We'll also talk about challenges and the IFRS response and about the data scoring tools. So please stay connected till the end of the webinar. Right now, I would like to invite Mr. Akif Saeed, Chairman, SCCP. He joined SCCP in 2004 and served as head of various divisions. Later, he was appointed as commissioner from 2014 to 2017. He has extensive regulatory, operational, and business knowledge of various infrastructure entities in the capital market. Mr. Akif played a significant role in merger of the 3 stock exchanges and divestment of PSX strategic shareholding to a consortium led by 3 Chinese exchanges. He is a Chevening alumni and an MBA from University of Edinburgh and holds a master's degree in economics from Government College Lahore. I now invite Mr. Akif Saeed to please say a few words to set the tone on today's event. Akif.
Thank you, Raida. Dr. Shamshad Akhtar, Chairperson, Pakistan Stock Exchange, Farooq Khan, Managing Director, Pakistan Stock Exchange, Mr. Michael Rothman, Global Head of Focused and Emerging Market, London Stock Exchange Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is a great pleasure to address you today. I congratulate Pakistan Stock Exchange for partnering with London Stock Exchange Group to enable listed companies access to the ESG contribution tool provided by London Stock Exchange Group's Refinitiv. This partnership of PSX and London Stock Exchange will be a significant milestone for sustainable capital market ecosystem. The global sustainability landscape has emerged as a pivotal focus point for development in all spheres of economy. SCCP, under its ESG roadmap, is consistently introducing measures focused on integrated sustainability considerations in its regulatory framework. I'm glad to see that capital market stakeholders are aligning their governance and operational framework, integrating the sustainability considerations. I anticipate that this initiative of PSX will aid in making companies' ESG scoring accessible to both domestic and international markets, while also enhancing the capacity of these companies. The importance of reporting transparency and accountability in sustainability cannot be stressed less. As you may be aware, that SCCP has recently issued draft ESG disclosure voluntary guidelines, and we are in process of compiling and incorporating comments of stakeholders. And we will be issuing the finalized guidelines in next few weeks. I believe that the metrics provided under the ESG guidelines will also help in encouraging the listed companies to start reporting on the sustainability pillars. We hope that PSX will play its role in strengthening compliance practices, and the same will also facilitate reporting through the Refinitiv tools which we are celebrating today. The focus on availability of information and facilitation to investors is key reform area for SCCP. Therefore, the one-stop portal for sustainability and related measures named as ESG Sustain was envisaged under the ESG strategy. We are glad that we had an overwhelming response from all stakeholders on the first look of ESG Sustain portal, unveiled in the ESG Symposium held in January this year. We are now moving swiftly towards embedding data, information, knowledge sources, and reporting metric with the help of key stakeholders, including PSX. We anticipate that ESG Sustain will be launched by this year, and I foresee that ESG Sustain, being Pakistan's first centralized platform, will be instrumental in consolidating the measures, reforms, and achievements of all the regulated sectors, facilitating access to information, streamlining disclosures, showcasing best performing companies, and increasing investment in sustainability-linked products. I'm glad to see that focus of PSX on data availability and accessibility through ESG contribution tool will not only amplify visibility of sustainability-based measures by listed companies on the London Stock Exchange Group's platform, as well as fortify their prospects for growth and development. I trust that the collaborative measures by PSX and SECP will empower companies to enhance their internal capabilities, thereby propelling innovation and sustainability within our market. In conclusion, I extend my congratulations once again to PSX and London Stock Exchange Group for their initiative, which stands as a testament to their dedication to sustainability efforts. Let us continue to work together to build a more resilient and sustainable future for our capital market ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman sir. Mr. Michael Rotman, the Global Head of Emerging and Frontier Markets at Refinitiv, is playing an important role in shaping sustainable investment strategies. His expertise extends to focused and emerging markets, where he navigates the complexities of finance and development. I now invite Mr. Rotman to say a few words on today's event, celebrating the collaboration between the Stock Exchange, Pakistan Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange Group on ESG. You may unmute yourself, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for the opportunity to address this forum today. And once again, welcome to everybody joining the session. Thank you for the introduction. I run strategic markets and products here at the London Stock Exchange Group, and thought I would just take a minute to introduce who the London Stock Exchange Group is. You may all be aware of the London Stock Exchange itself, but in 2021, the London Stock Exchange acquired a company called Refinitiv, which was previously known as Thomson Reuters, which was a provider of financial information, risk information, and news. After the acquisition, the London Stock Exchange Group was formed and became a provider of financial markets infrastructure, financial data, analytics, news, and index products to our customers around the world. If you would go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. The London Stock Exchange Group operates in 190 countries. We have 23,000 professionals around the world who work for the group, and we have 400,000 users of our financial markets data analysis and news. We see ourselves as an organization empowering financial markets. So we have solutions that provide stock exchange technology and underlying technology that the exchanges run on. We provide fixed income and foreign exchange trading technology. And we also obviously are a global provider of ESG data and sustainable finance information. If you go to the next slide, please. Key to the London Stock Exchange Group strategy is our sustainability focus. We have three key sustainability pillars. One is the acceleration to the transition to net zero. The second is enabling growth of the green economy. And finally is creating inclusive economic opportunities, which includes inclusive culture, inclusive markets, and inclusive empowerment. I won't talk too much to this because my colleagues will talk about this in the next session. If you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Across the London Stock Exchange Group, which includes the exchange, FTSE Russell, our data analytics business, and our post-trade business, we really see ourselves as having to partner with the industry in order to be successful. We've had 20 years of success with partnering in the ESG and sustainable finance space, and you may have recently heard of some recent successes we've had with our partners in Malaysia, in Morocco, and in Turkey. And we really look forward to seeing how our partnership with Pakistan progresses, and it's something that we're really excited about. So there are no questions. I'd really like to hand over to the next session. Once again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and please enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rotman. Ms. Sylvia Bragia is Director for Sustainable Finance and Wealth at Refinitiv, an LSEG business, responsible for addressing client needs in the investment and wealth management spaces. She's a promoter of sustainable finance, financial inclusion, and gender equality, and today has an active participation in the development of capital markets in emerging countries, generating initiatives for its integration into international trade flows and promoting innovation, new technologies, and global best practices. I now invite Ms. Silvina Bragia to give her presentation on global trends on sustainability.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well? Hope you can hear me well. Perfect.
Yes.
So thank you very much for the time today, for having us in this important launch. I'm very happy that we put in practice, that we bring to life this collaboration partnership with the Pakistan Stock Exchange to continue developing the capital market in the region. I will probably echo many of the messages that will be shared in this presentation early today in this webinar, and I will bring a bit of numbers into the discussion to really understand from a global perspective why it's so important to promote the sustainability and to provide more transparent data of what companies are doing, in this case in Pakistan, for the international financial market. So if we can go to the first slide, I want to share the results of our Sustainable Investment Asset Owners Survey. We performed this survey in the last 7 years, and what we are seeing, the basic initial questions we ask to the biggest asset owners all around the world is if they are implementing ESG factors in the decision-making progress, or they are evaluating those. So what we are seeing from the last 5 or 6 years is like this trend is growing. There was a slightly change last year, but what we are seeing is a long growth, is big growth, and a long-term decision and conviction from the investment side into adoption, sustainability or ESG factors into the decision process. And as you can see today, more than 80% of the asset owners are really utilizing this information for their decisions. So this is how we call that sustainable investment is today mainstream. In my own words, I always like to say that this is the new way of doing finance, and that's why it's so relevant to get as much information as possible from companies, because it's as important as the traditional financial statements in terms of decision taken. And I want to touch base a bit on the trends and the agenda for 2024. And what we can see in the following slide is which is the main accelerator of this positive trend of adoption. So Mena, if we can move to the next slide. This is a print screened on the World Economic Forum Global Risk perception survey, where people is asked about the global risks ranked, and there is a very interesting analysis in this report because they are asked about 2 years outlook and 10 years outlook. And in what you are seeing in the screen is like when the people is asked about the 10 years global risk, the severity or the most important ones. 5 of these 10 are related to environmental, and there are 2 more related to social issues. So that's exactly what we want to highlight here, is like these aspects are very relevant for the long-term strategy for companies, for governments, and for investors. And that's why we are really focusing on getting more and more information. And I want to touch base before going on the topic of today, which is the usage of the contribution tool, in one final slide from my side, which is a bit of what is happening globally. And many of these trends will resonate with all of you because we already hear about it. If I can simplify what is happening on the sustainability space at a global level, there are 5, 6 main trends that are relevant to consider. One is the reporting complexity. This is something that probably you are all facing. What we are seeing, it's like a real shift or a clear shift from our reporting operational metrics to a consideration of much more like the entire supply chain, consideration of physical climate risk assessment of companies, and their transition plans to net zero. So it's not just a picture of how a company is performing in a specific KPIs in a year. It's much more about the entire supply chains, the provider with whom they are doing business. And in this connected world, it's very important to follow these reporting standards, because it's the common language to be considered. And it's also very important what we are seeing, the outcome of the companies, how their products and services are built and the impact in the sustainability front. So what we are seeing is that the report is not just a picture, it's very dynamic and consider many other aspects. So that's why these type of partnerships are very important, because we can promote best practices and we can share knowledge to accelerate this capacity creation within the companies, to start reporting with the consideration of so many different aspects. Another important thing in the agenda for 2024 is the governance. So there are much more, and we hear from the regulators in the room, it's much more focused on the labeling. It's much more focused on exactly the definitions, what is in or out the green bonds definition, for example, or sustainability framework. So there's much more explanations and clear definitions in the sustainability space. And this is a very important demand from investors. And what we are seeing is like all the different economies are moving in towards. And also the governance is not only on the clarity on the definitions and the understanding from the capital markets, but it is also balancing the risk and opportunities of new technologies. For example, the use of artificial intelligence. It's a very big opportunity for drive sustainability and discover and innovate in new technologies and things, but also there are risks associated, and there is a lot of focus on balancing these risks and opportunities. It is not, I started my presentation with the focus on climate change, and something that's important to have in mind, it's not only about carbon emissions, that is very important to be considered. With countries represented 92% of the global GDP now committed to net zero targets, The agenda is open to other topics, including biodiversity. We heard from last year the TNFD reporting standards that came into place. There is a lot of focus on climate change impact on human health, food security, plastic treatment. So as you can see, is beyond carbon, and what we are seeing from investors' perspective is there is a broadened impact on economies. I will not touch or spend much more time in this bottom of this slide, but there are things that are happening and are very important. They increase focus on the private sector and the execution. So now we have commitments, we have pledges in place, but it's all about companies to help countries to drive on those targets. And there is a big challenge on bringing the small enterprises also into the place. The sustainable bond markets is growing, especially in emerging markets, especially in the region. We are seeing that these instruments can really unlock the potential of financing. So that's very interesting. Also on the Islamic finance theme, we are seeing a very important growth on the green sukuk offering. So this is also bringing an opportunity of new instruments and more financial or financing opportunities. And I think which is a very interesting trend and a positive trend, that probably tickets are smaller than in the past, but what we are seeing is much more number of issuers and players in the bond market. So it's, while at the very beginning it was sovereign driven, what we are seeing is a very active role on the private sector. So this is a good sense of continuing of evolution. And what we are seeing it has a top priority on the agenda of 2024 is the standardization or the new guidelines, especially in terms of integrity of the carbon markets, which also represent a big potential and an opportunity. I want to go back a bit on the first theme I discussed, which was the reporting complexity. And let me show you, going back to the survey we managed with asset owners, let me show you here. Thank you very much, Mena. In the same survey, we ask the investors which they feel is the biggest barrier to them to continue integrated sustainability in the decision process or adoption of sustainability across all asset classes. And this is something that remains. What we are seeing is that a lot of barriers are becoming less important year over year. For example, the capacity creation in or the information in terms of education for the staff. This where we are seeing a lot of decrease. But what is still on the top themes or on the top reasons is the concerns about availability of ESG data and the use of estimated data. And 50% of the asset owners highlight this as the main barrier. And then the second one is the lack of standardization in ESG data, scores and ratings. So that's where we are in the London Stock Exchange group playing a very important role, because what is our priority is to continue getting data to build our database. Today we cover 90% of the global market capitalization with more than 16,000 companies in our ESG database that collect more than 700 data points embedded into the environmental, social, governance, and climate data pillars. So this is why we are here. This is why we are really important or trying to facilitate as much technology and tools possible to overcome these challenges of lack of data or visibility of data, or even standardized data that can be comparing around the world with companies. So the final comment from my side before going into the contribution tool presentation, and I hope a quick demo of it, so you can have a sense of what you can access after this webinar, is like the complexity of the reporting is converting into a new global standards. Since last year, we hear about the new global standards, IFRS 1, which is about the sustainability related financial information, and the IFRS S2, which is dedicated on climate related disclosures. So these are new standards. We expect that most of the different type of reporting converge into this. And what we are doing is also promoting this language into the system. But what is our main priority is adopting the global standards, connecting with the information that companies today provide, make sure that we provide tools to standardize this information and make it comparable and used for different type of investment and products. So with that, I will pass over to Mena, that she will explain a bit more about the contribution tool, and we hope we can do a quick demo of the tool that provides you an overview of our technology. My final comment is a big invitation to all the companies in this webinar today to subscribe to the contribution tool. You will see in a minute that it is very easy to access and get registered. If you already have your sustainability report, this is the place that you can onboard the information and be visible into the global investors framework. And if you are planning to enhance your reports, probably you will find here definitions and explanation of what is material to be reported that can be useful for your work. So thank you very much for the time. Again, thank you to the exchange for this partnership. And Mena, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Silvina. And thank you all for your time and participation. It's a pleasure actually for me to be here and to address this webinar to you all. So let's talk about the ESG contribution tool. So this tool has actually been developed by our company, and it has been designed to assist corporates and companies in their ESG reporting journey. Without any charges, without any costs, the company can actually subscribe to the tool and start onboarding their ESG data in a very easy manner, in a very user-friendly manner, and of course, get some benefits out of that as well. So in order to move and discuss why this contribution tool is very crucial for companies to disclose their ESG data, to streamline their ESG data, and to actually structure their ESG data reports, these are like some advantages that our tool provides. The first advantage is that it assists in best-in-class reporting. And let me echo a bit what Sylvine has just said. LSEG has a rich history when it comes to ESG database. So we have a very comprehensive database offering to more than 20,000 clients the ESG data on around 12K public companies globally across more than 500 plus different ESG metrics, and our history goes back to 2002. So with this rich history, with this rich expertise, with this rich professionalism, you can actually use this tool in order to develop a best-in-class report. Other than that, and another important advantage is the fact that this tool will allow you to structure a report, streamline the process, make it efficient, focused, and integrated. And this is because you're going to have access, free of charge access, to our data collection methodology and our data dictionary. So for each of the pillars, the ESG, there are several data metrics or data points. And with the tool, you can easily understand what each of these KPIs mean and what each of these data points mean. In addition to that, the tool provides guidance on materiality and metrics of interest. And what we mean by that is that when you sign into the tool, your industry or sector is specified, and the data metrics that is relevant to your industry and sector is also specified. So you're going to only report in accordance to the material ESG KPIs that is relevant to your sector or industry. And another important advantage is that contributing your ESG data via the tool will allow you to be more visible to the investment and the financial world. As I said before, around 20,000 financial service providers use our LSEG products to incorporate ESG metrics into their daily workflow. In other words, this tool is your gateway to the financial world and investment world when it comes to showcasing your sustainability efforts or ESG efforts. So using this tool, when you contribute your ESG data via this tool, this data flows to our products, and then our clients from the investment community and the financial community can actually see your data. So in other words, you will become more visible to the investment community. The investment community will actually see how good or how well you are performing when it comes to sustainability efforts or ESG efforts. Last but not the least, you also have an option to actually update your ESG information via this tool, your yearly information. And again, structuring to reporting, standardized to reporting, transparent reporting is what we're looking for and is what this tool will guarantee to you. Now let me walk you through a quick demo to show you how this tool works in practical and for you to have a better idea on how to use the tool. So just give me a second to reshare my screen. I guess you can now see my screen. So as I said before, and as Silvina also highlighted, in order to sign up to this contribution tool, we just need very, very basic and simple information. We will share the link shortly in the chat box and of course via emails for those that are interested to become part of the contribution tool. And the link will actually carry you to the request to access page. In this request to access page, and in order to request access to the tool, you need to specify that you're actually looking to contribute ESG data. So you have to click on this ESG data icon, and then on the right side, the requested information will appear to you. And as I said, very basic, simple information: your first name, last name, corporate email, the job title, and other company related information. And then once you submit this information and finish the step, you're going to receive an automated email from our team clarifying exactly your username and password, because each of the companies has a specific or a dedicated username and password credentials in order to access the tool, along with the link of the tool. So the link for you to access the tool. Now let me move the screen to the other to the tool in specific.
And now while you are activating the tool, I want to share a few important things here. We have a strict process of data validation. So when companies joined the platform and upload all the information, it's not flowing directly to our products and services. There is a big team of more than 400 analysts around the world that validate that all the information received by the contribution tools is public available, and it is as reported into the corporate documentation. So after this period of validation, the information flows to the different products, services, our lseg.com website, and so on. So I think that now we have the tool, and I will mute myself again, but I wanted just to share that in terms of transparency, accuracy, and validation of the data, to be sure that companies are reporting exactly what is in their websites or process behind the scenes before publishing the information.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Silvina, for highlighting that. And since now we have the tool, once you log in with your credentials, username, and password, this home tab will appear to you. And in the home tab, you can find some general information about why is it important to contribute, a bit of information about us as a company, referring to our rich history in actually creating ESG databases and ESG data and ESG reporting metrics. Other than that, and a most important section is the contacts section. This is basically your go-to section if you're facing any difficulties, if you're reaching out for more clarifications, if you need any assistance, you can directly email our team, the ESG contributor tool team, and they will readily and promptly assist you with your difficulties or with your clarifications. Now, moving on to the ESG part, it's the second tab, and second most important tab of the tool is the ESG tab. So when you click on the tab, just give it a second to load. The environmental, social, and governance relevant metrics appear. We have climate metrics, environmental metrics, social metrics, and governance metrics. So under each of these pillars, these are like the data metric that is again relevant and material to your industry. So as you can see here, your company will appear, your company name will appear at the very, very top, and then the sector that you are part of will be highlighted as well. So not all companies report the same data metrics. There might be some overlaps, but of course there will be differences. So a company in the real estate sector is very, very different from a company in the energy sector. So we understand and the materiality of ESG data metrics is very, very crucial, and is is a significant part of actually what ESG is. So you're going only to see the data metrics that is relevant to your industry. And again, this brings us back to the fact that using this tool will allow you to understand what is relevant to your industry, what's material to your industry, and you can consider it a hand-holding tool that could guide you to understand exactly what is required from you as a company to report ESG or to disclose any ESG efforts. Now let's move on to another important part of the tool, the data filters. So let me click on, for instance, the environmental pillar, and we can start with that pillar for the case of the webinar. You have this data filters. When you click on this data filter or scroll, you can find some international reporting standards and also our ESG scoring relevant metrics. So in order for you to get a score when you contribute to ESG data, you need to click on the ESG scoring relevant metrics data filter if you're interested in getting a score using our ESG scoring methodology. What if you're also interested, other than the ESG scoring relevant metrics, in a GRI, in the GRI reporting standard, which is one of the very well-known and common reporting standards? You can also click on the GRI. So in the data filter option, you can choose only one or more than reporting standards. And then when you click done, the data metrics that is relevant to your industry will also be super filtered in accordance with the data filters you have chosen. Now you can see different categories under the e-pillars. We have, for instance, water, waste, emission, environmental products, etc., etc. Now, for you to understand what each data point means under each of the categories, under each of the pillars, you have this question mark icon. So when you hover over this question mark icon, a statement appears, or a question or a statement appears clarifying exactly what is required from you to disclose this specific data point. So in this case, the question is, does the company have a policy to improve its water efficiency? Now, what if this is not clear enough? A company needs to understand what is exactly required from this question. What does a policy water efficiency mean? They can click on the more info, and then this box pops up elaborating what is expected from this specific data point. So for instance, in this case, what we expect from a company disclosing this specific data point is that they need, for instance, to provide a description of the processes, procedures, and to improve water efficiency of the company. And the data should be related to the water efficiency of the company production facilities and not the products. This is what we expect. And then an example is also shown, what a qualified data is and what an unqualified data is. And also an explanation why this data is qualified and this data is not qualified. This is to assist you in to understand exactly what a company that has a policy for water efficiency looks like. So this, for instance, is an example of a company in British Columbia or a company that operates in British Columbia with its statement of water policy efficiency. And we believe that this statement is enough to ensure that the company has a policy on water efficiency. Now, once you understand what is exactly required from this data point, you can close the box and then click on the pencil icon. This pencil icon will allow the source window information to open up. And in the source window information is where you put in your answer to the data point metric. So in this case, it was a true or false question if the company has a policy on water efficiency or no. So your answer is going to be true or false. And when is it true or false? You're going, of course, to add the value true or false. And then echoing back what Silvina said, we only rely on publicly available information. So when you provide an answer, you need to provide an evidence that supports your answer. And this evidence is not your internal documents, is not something that is internally in the company. It has to be publicly available information. A paragraph, for instance, on your website, your sustainability report that is publicly available to everyone, an annual report, for instance, CSR report, a report that is submitted to the exchange, for instance. This is what we rely on. We rely only on publicly available information. When you can add, when you provide an answer, you need to add this source where is the evidence that you actually have a policy on water efficiency. It can be in your sustainability report, or as I said, in any other different source. When you upload the report, it can be in any language. So for the sustainability reports, they can be in different languages. However, the value you're entering has to be in English. And the supporting text has also to be in English. Of course, to prove that this is a publicly available information, you need to add the link to the source. And then you can click save. When you click save, the information is stored for you. Your added information is stored for you. But still, we cannot see the information. In order for us to see the information, or for the team that's handling the contribution tool to see the information, you have to submit all your added data metrics. Let me show you how this works. So for you will work on several data metrics, this one, that one, whatever, and then you can work on different data metrics in different times. You don't have to submit all at the same time. You don't have to save all at the same time. Whenever your data is ready, you can just go and upload the relevant data metric. When you work on all the relevant data metrics for all the relevant pillars, the environmental, climate, social, and governance, you can go and submit your information. So each time you save the data metrics, it appears exactly on the system how many data metrics are saved and how many data metrics are ready to be submitted. When you review all your saved metrics and everything is ready, you can click on this arrow or you can check this box, and then the submit icon starts to like glow with the blue color. You can click on the submit icon, and then this is when you submit the information that you have actually onboarded on the contribution tool to our verification team. Now our verification team will get back to you maybe with the comments. Either your information is verified and you're good to go and it's now part of our products, the information is actually now available for you to get a score, or some feedback will be shared with you. For instance, more information is required on these specific metrics, please provide more information. Or for instance, they can come back to you saying there's a discrepancy between the shared source and your answer or the answered data point. So they will get back to you with the feedback, elaborating exactly where are you, if the metrics are good to go, if you still need to provide more information, etc., etc. And they're going to specify exactly which metrics you need to work on, which metrics are good to go, and which metrics is, for instance, needs more like verification. Once you work on all the relevant ESG scoring metrics, as you have seen in the data filter, so for all of the pillars, we need to choose the ESG scoring relevant metrics in order to get to the scoring part. When you get to the scoring part, in reference to our ESG scoring methodology, you're going to get an ESG score. And this ESG score is numerical and also a letter grade. So you're going to get a percentage score and also a letter grade score. Once you get the ESG score, you can go and view your peer analysis. In the peer analysis section, you get to see your score and other peers' score. When we benchmark the ES pillars to your peers all over the world. For instance, if you're in a real estate sector, you're going to be benchmarked against a company in the real estate sector when it comes to the ES and ES pillar. However, when it comes to governance pillar, you're going to be benchmarked against companies in the same country. Because of course we understand that the country of incorporation plays a huge factor when it comes to the governance score. And in the peer analysis, some companies will be listed with their scores for you to understand if you're performing, how you are performing, if you're performing good in respect to the others, if you need to like improve further, etc., etc. So that's pretty much from my side. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and I guess I and Silvina are happy to take them. Thank you. Over to you, Raida, for the closing remarks and the Q&A session.
Thank you, Mana, for such a detailed review of the scoring tool. I hope all our listed company representatives have notified or noticed all the details, how to get access to the tool. We will follow up with more training sessions with the LSEG team. Maybe we'll try to have on-ground sessions, but at least webinars we are planning. With that, I will now come to our closing call to action request. Mr. Farooq Khan, he's the Chief Executive of Pakistan Stock Exchange. He's a qualified chartered accountant from Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, UK, and also holds a BA in Economics and Finance from the University of Manchester. With over 30 years of senior management and board-level experience, Farooq is an experienced entrepreneur and leading business and financial advisor who has advised on many landmark transactions. I will invite Mr. Farooq Khan to give his closing remarks as he urges a call to action to ensure higher market attention by using the contribution tool. Farooq, over to you.
Thank you so much, Raida. Thank you, Chairperson and HCP Chair for joining us today, and also colleagues from London Stock Exchange and Refinitiv, and of course, all the listed companies. We've had very good turnout in the last two webinars, day before when we launched the ESG primer for listed companies guidance, and now the contribution tool. We've touched upon all the important points, and I've personally found it, even though we've worked in this field with the SECP and with the chair over the last couple of years, but every time it's such a wide field, I always learn more. But I'd just like to first acknowledge the guidance of Dr. Shamshad, who, when she joined, we started the ESG task force, became members of the UN Sustainable Stock Exchanges Initiative. And of course, we've worked very closely with the SECP, and they've been extremely supportive in pushing forward this very, very important agenda for the corporate sector in Pakistan. There are a number of large companies who have signed on to the Net Zero Coalition for Pakistan as well. And there are a number of listed companies that are already doing very good work in terms of their sustainability reports. And I'm very happy to share that in the last annual accounts, PSX also, because we ourselves are a listed company, we also published our first sustainability report. So we are committed as a listed company ourselves, but also as a frontline regulator and as a platform. We are very keen to use that influence to make sure that the entire listed company universe moves ahead in this very, very important area. And to be honest, I mean, this is not just a compliance issue. It is a real opportunity for the Pakistan corporate sector. This is an opportunity to help improve brand Pakistan. It is an opportunity for the Pakistan corporate sector to become leaders in the region in terms of ESG, which will help counter many of the issues of FDI and investments challenges that we face. So as I said, see this not as just a compliance, which we will need to do anyway because of the IFRS standards that are coming in, but as a huge opportunity because companies that are not just ESG compliant, but also reported correctly, can have the opportunity to reduce their cost of capital, to improve their brand positioning in the market, and respond to the demands of their customers and to the younger workforce that is extremely conscious of these very, very important challenges and issues. And I think this is a great step forward. And I also like to thank the PSX team for this collaboration that we are doing with Refinitiv and London Stock Exchange Group, because the challenge is data, and data needs to be comparable and it needs to be consistent. And this is what the contributor tool allows us to do, to put the data in a comparable and consistent manner, which is available globally for investors and finance professionals to look at. So not only within Pakistan, but outside as well. This will raise the profile of Pakistan capital markets, and this will raise the profile of companies that take advantage of this. So I would urge you all to take this opportunity that London Stock Exchange and PSX have put together. And as Raida said, we will be holding further training sessions, and obviously both PSX and Refinitiv are available offline after this webinar to answer any question that you may have. So with that, thank you all, everyone, and thank you again for being here.
So thank you, everyone. And artists, we will put a copy of the webinar on the ESG page of the Stock Exchange website, so you can access it anytime when you want to run through or have a refresher. And we'll post the new dates for the training sessions as well. Thank you.